Am I dreaming or am I awake?
Francis, you think the Thornbeak's around here?
The old fears, they still haunt me.
Hold on, we're coming!
That I'm on a train to nowhere. You are the driver, sir. When I awake, will I face the worst parts of myself? I need to listen to that quiet voice calling me. That need to make something again. We'll make it. Me and you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tim Schafer.
Yes. Hi. Hello, everybody. Let's talk casually while I walk over to my chair so it's not awkward. Are you having a great PSX so far? How's it going? Awesome. Well, it's my honor to be here. I'm a game developer, but I'm not here to talk about my game, so I cannot too. I'm here to talk about a game that I'm just like you, a big fan of, and a fan of everything this company does. So please join me in welcoming and give a big hand to some of my favorite dreamers from Media Molecule, Siobhan Reddy, Alex Evans, and Mark Healy. Stand up. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
My God.
Come into my couch. I just
Hey everyone.
bought these sofas so we could have a nice talk here.
Okay, fantastic. Wow, thanks for coming, everyone.
Yep, thank
Yeah.
you.
So I don't know if I've ever told you this. I'm a big fan of your guys' work.
Oh.
I actually tell them this all the time. And a secret plan is I want to erase everyone's memory so people think I made your games because they're so good. Especially Little Big Planet started it for me where it's not a game just about creativity of the developers, but the creativity of everybody, the players and the whole world.
Right.
And what about people like me who are actually kind of lazy sometimes and they just want to come home and flop on the couch and play a game and not make anything? Is there anything that I can do in this new game that you're making?
Absolutely. The most important thing about Dreams is that it's a player experience initially. When you first dive into the world of Dreams, you've got our content to play, of course. We've made a whole story, which is all made using the tools. And then you can go into the community and just surf the madness that's in there, really. So that's the bit that's most exciting for me. Is just
Yeah, I mean, surfing the madness is really what it's going to be about. I think this game is just going to be over to you guys and the audience and out there on the internet. Everything we do is there to inspire you, so you can just enjoy it as a story. You can enjoy it as a game. Platforming. There's a point-and-click adventure side to it.
What?
I know.
That's
We're really
crazy.
encroaching into Tim territory here. Like,
Yeah.
watch
Will
out.
I be able to add RTS elements?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Okay. Yeah.
And so obviously play, create, share, that's what you guys are all about, but there's also going to be a single player game.
Right. So these characters here that you can see behind us is Francis and Foxy.
So what can you tell us about the story of this single player game and what kind of gameplay is it?
so we've actually made 3 stories that are intertwined and that kind of add up to one sort of super story, if you like. And kind of one of the primary reasons for doing that is we wanted to kind of show the spread of kinds of things that you can make in Dreams. We didn't want to pigeonhole it into one kind of genre. So we've got a kind of this which I would say is quite typical Media Molecule, sort of childhood fantasy. You call this.
To the horror.
We have like a science fiction.
Would you say their names? Their names are those characters there?
Francis.
Oh, there's Francis and Foxy, and there's the dragon is Lancewing. this cute little thing.
It's so pretty.
And
So-
so,
That was all made in Dreams.
that was
All made in dreams.
Everything you see, everything you hear, you could do with a DS4 and a PlayStation. That's the idea.
It's the same tools.
Same tools.
You made this with that players can make
No
their own
cheating.
games.
It's just basically blood, sweat, and tears and a PlayStation is all you need. I mean, Siobhan, like, are you a Foxy or a Francis?
I'm Francis.
Okay.
Francis all the way.
So Foxy each character has different abilities. So Francis has got like a kind of hammer, squeaky hammer, and Foxy's got like a range attack. So every different character, and this is Debug, who's our little sci-fi theme. He's like super cool. He's got a double jump and like a fly ability.
Hover.
And so you can basically, you know, those old games where you hop between different characters, like head over heels on Spectrum. That's my childhood, whatever. Yeah, you just jump between different characters. You have different powers, and that allows you to progress through our story. So our story is about weaving together these different sub-stories, if you like.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a lot of different styles. So what is tying them all together? Is it one character's dream? Is it multiple dreams?
So we don't want to give away too much because that would
How does it
spoil
end?
the fun. But
Then the world explodes.
The story starts with a guy called Art, which is, if you've seen
That
the
trains.
trailer, yeah, that's the character that I associate with most. It's a sort of middle-aged man with a very tortured soul, and essentially you're kind of playing through his journey, and these kind of manifest as his dreams that he's having, and it all slowly sort of starts to make sense and
Yeah.
kind of weave together.
And what was the process like at Media Molecule for creating this single-player content? 'Cause it looks like it was a collaboration of many. Is there one author of all this story, or is it? How did you bring together and choose these elements?
So very early on, people are just using the tool and kind of experimenting. We do a lot of game jamming, and then it's just a case of taking what's around, what's on the table, and kind of mixing it together and almost letting the story emerge out of it, really. So it's a very sort of serendipitous way of making. That's a posh way of saying we make it up as we go along. But,
So a lot of different people in the studio experimented with the tools, and you guys do. I've heard game jams are like not assignments, but certain challenges of coming up with these game jam-like ideas.
Yeah, we tend to give a bit of a theme to a game jam, but the way we work at the studios is a very ground-up way of working, and we really want it to be a place where everybody within the studio can contribute to like the direction of the games that we're making. So I love when I look at the screen, you see things of characters or environments that some of our new artists or new programmers or people have just come and done within a game jam. We've gone, oh, that's really cool. Let's take that and make that the main character of the theme.
And there's something about Dreams, which is that if you're watching what's playing behind us, or if you come to our booth at PSX, or you see any of our streams, if you feel like intimidated, like, oh, I couldn't do a character like Foxy, or I couldn't do something at that level, you get to collage and piece together things from stuff that other people have made. So you don't have to kind of go super deep. You can just say, okay, I want Francis, and then I want a purple elephant, and then I want
Can you grab Foxy?
You can do anything you like.
Can you grab that awesome-looking train and put it into your
Yep.
level?
So
Oh, that's awesome.
And you can just mash them up together. So you could like take literally completely different assets, scale them to any size you like. So you could have like a tiny train, and then like Francis stomps on it. And it's the whole idea of Dreams is it's like a dream journal or a sketchbook. So if you've got a new idea for a new game, Tim, you just can't explain it to your team. They're just not listening to you.
Yeah.
Dreams.
Are you selling me on using Dreams to pitch my team games?
I'm actually
That's great.
joking, but I'm not joking. I like do that. It'll be good.
I might.
The
That sounds fun.
campaign isn't only single player, by the way. It's actually, you can play it single player, but it's couch co-op as well.
Like a Little Big Planet. Like
Yeah, but two player, one or two player.
That's great.
But that's not a limitation of the tool. That's just what we decided to do for our content.
So you've been making this game. So when did you start making this game? And can you tell me about the idea? I wrote a joke that obviously came to you in a dream, but I don't want to tell that joke now.
I think it's a natural progression from Little Big Planet for us, really. We knew we wanted to take that idea of play, create, share, and just evolve it in each of those areas.
And is it similar now to the original idea that you had for the game, or is it?
Surprisingly, it's actually surpassed our ambitions, I think, which is quite rare in making computer games. But it's been a lot of hard work, but we've
And what has it been like putting it in front of people? Like, do you have playtesters, or do you do a lot of internal testing, and do you bring in strangers? And
There are some strangers. We're having a small alpha scale test, and there's going to be a beta. We've been promising for a long time, and it's coming. I promise, really it is. 2018. But what's interesting is even the people at Media Molecule, they kick back at home and they build completely different content, and we're going to be showing you something kind of world premiere in a moment of I love this level.
World premiere.
This is Tim, Jeff, Schaefer. And
I'm sure they'll replace that with something really fancy when it actually goes out.
some graphics going around. But yeah, so when the team and the people who currently have Dreams and the strangers who get to play, test it for us, they make very different content from what we make. So our story is one thing, and our 3 stories are kind of 3 things. But the things that our team and then hopefully you guys and girls will make are very, very different. They're out there. So you've got this kind of safe play experience. If you want to just play our story, that's cool. But then if you want to we have this feature called Auto Surf, which is, I think, Mark's favorite
Well,
thing
this
in
would
the
go
game.
back to your original question, I think. If you're come back from a hard day of making games, if you're super lazy and you can't even be bothered to type in or search, you just hit Auto Surf. You've essentially got an auto-generated playlist of just random content.
Really?
That you can just surf
And
through.
just fill a whole world with maybe it's a train, maybe it's...
Yeah, you have no idea.
it's wild.
It weaves together stories in the same way that our story mode is 3 interwoven stories. What it does is it picks 3 community-made stories, which might have a progression. So you might make a 1-hour game, and then it takes 3 of them, chops them up, and then dices them together. So you will
I couldn't wait to see what this was a gesture for.
Yeah, twisting. It's like rope making or something. I don't know. And what's going on?
It's just a really nice serendipitous way of discovering content, essentially.
Yeah.
It's
That's really nice.
really fun.
Yeah.
And then, so that I was going to ask, how do you make sure how do you find stuff? Because there's going to be so many, I imagine, so many worlds that people create, and find the stuff that is the most interesting to you. And is it random, or is it you guys going to have a similar community? You guys are so great with community management and user created content.
Yeah, I mean, we learnt a lot with Little Big Planet, so we're sort of taking what we learnt back in 2008.
Yeah.
We sort of always joke that MySpace was our reference at that point, and we're now 2017.
What's MySpace?
I know.
I'm so young.
But
I don't know what that is.
It was awesome in its day. But now we're in the world of things like Pinterest, which we've learnt a lot about. And within the project, within Dreams, we have this idea of personas, and curators are a really big part of that. And so we're really excited about the idea of people making collections and playlists, and so we have that social layer, which wasn't sort of part of the LBP sort of.
Right. So if you have great taste in games, maybe you're really into horror genre or something. So you spend your time searching for the coolest new horror levels or the coolest kind of scary experiences, whatever floats your boat. But you get known as a curator of horror. So you publish playlists, maps we call them. So you publish maps of the greatest horror levels that you found. You didn't have to make those levels. You just have to have the taste to find them and piece them together. And then people will follow you in a kind of social media buzzword-tastic thing. Then you'll be the Tim Schaefer. People will follow you because you have a certain taste in Dreams, hopefully, that's good, or absolute rubbish.
In Dreams.
There we go. And
we'll be plucking out things ourselves as well that we kind of notice and sort of highlighting them and pimping them, essentially.
Do you want to pluck out one right now?
I do. I have to show you this dream. So I will tell you a little backstory. This is an example of a dream which is not a Media Molecule dream. This is Ed, who's out on the show floor demoing the game today. So you should go and give Ed crazy love. And he made this last weekend when he was sick. One day he wanted to make a track. He's a musician, not a level designer. But because Dreams, what it does is you can make music, voiceover, sound effects, all of this stuff, super deep. There's a modular synth, if anyone out there is into synths. So he was just making a track. I'm like, I'm going to make some music. But then, because it's Dreams, he's like, I'm just going to turn it into a music video. Oh, well, now I'll make it so it's a playable music video, and you have to play through the level in order to get the track to evolve. So we're going to show this for the first time, and it's a bit cheeky of me because Ed just, as I say, made this in his downtime.
Fever Dreams.
It's Fever Dreams.
Fever
But it's got a kind of Daft Punky vibe. It's like an interactive music video. And for me, this is a taste of what you, the collective universe, will hopefully do. We'll be doing our thing, and then you'll be doing interactive Daft Punk crazy. Who knows what you'll be doing? And Daft Punk, if you want us to do an album with you, you can just give us a call.
Yeah, Daft Punk is out here.
Yeah.
You would never know because you don't know what they look like.
No, I don't. Yeah. helmet people.
All right.
So yeah, Kevin,
roll
push
the-
the eyeball button.
Right, the eyeball.
Poke the eyeball. Ed.
Yeah.
Ed's eyeball.
Ed's eyeball.
Totally.
So you were saying that I thought you meant he made a track in some other program and then ported it into the game, but he made that music track in Dreams?
He made that track in Dreams, all the mixing, all the production, all the synths, everything is made in Dreams, played live in the game as well. So if you want to make gameplay that manipulates the music, or music which manipulates the gameplay, you can do both of those things. If you want to do voiceover, you can do all of that. So
What I love about that is, like, by day, Ed is making these, like, gorgeous tracks for, like, the childhood theme and for the action theme, and they're these beautiful things, and then he goes home and he just creates, like, utter madness.
yeah, he'll spend a day on like his footstep. Like everyone who's a professional game developer knows, you've got to do the like perfect crunch sound when the footstep lands, and then he goes home and goes, oh, I'm just going to do this. So,
I got an eyeball thing I got to get off.
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And that just
The way
was
you
one sick day.
That was one sick day.
Yeah, it was one sick day.
Man.
And he didn't know that was going to get shown, so sorry, Ed.
Oh,
but, like,
jeez.
yeah.
Don't tell Ed if you see him out there. That is crazy. So, I was going to ask, when you make a game like this and you share it with people and you watch people create and you test it, do you find yourselves learning things about the nature of creativity itself? Like being surprised by like how people make stuff?
Yeah.
And what have you learned about how people make stuff and what helps them and what inspires them?
In my personal experience, I've sort of come across two extremes. You've kind of got someone that will have an idea and kind of want to pre-plan what it is they're going to make down to the sort of exact colour of a fingernail and then go and make it. And then you've got the other extreme, which is a bit more like me, where you don't really know what you want to make, so you just start making anything and see what happens and just let accidents happen and sort of see where that steers you. And I think Dreams caters for that complete range. You don't have to go into a level knowing what you're going to make. You can just start just doodling and sketching, essentially.
I mean, that's what the video here is showing, is really just sort of the power of just sort of picking up these elements and just sort of sketching out a rough level, like really sort of slapdash, sort of sketching it out. It's really, really simple.
Like Kareem isn't here. Like he's the art director, and he has this thing that we want dreams to feel really loose, really like a sketchbook. If you've got an idea and you want to get it out, I was saying to Tim before, you should use this in your production Double Fine, but absolutely, I meant it, because you don't have to be very kind of precise. You can be, and as Mark's saying, there are certain people whose creative process involves tuning every single last thing. But there aren't enough tools, I think, that just celebrate just doodling, like mucking around. Like, you don't have to have a plan, you can just enjoy it. And one thing that we learned, back from making other games, we're game makers as well. It's a game, it's a PlayStation experience. You can relax, you don't have to publish this for anyone. This doesn't need to be for somebody else. You can just enjoy the process of making.
That's the thing, I think it's like there's all different types of play, and creating stuff is a type of play. Like Lego is a type of play.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've loved about using the tools is like, because you can move between making music and doing a bit of logic and sketching out a level, there's almost a never-ending list of like, oh, I just want to do this.
Just one more go,
There's one more thing
yeah.
over here. And sometimes if you get stuck, you're like, oh, I don't really know how to do that. I find it's amazing that I can just go, all right, it's okay, I'm just going to play with the lighting for 5 minutes. And whilst I'm playing with the lighting, a light bulb will go off and I'll be like, that's how I do that thing over there. And the fact that the tools are all there and you're moving between these different things, it's like tickling your brain, and it's just a really really fun way of spending like an entire set of hours.
And another big factor in the sort of creative process, I think, is collaborating with other people, obviously, and bouncing ideas off people, criticising each other, getting annoyed, that kind of thing. But that's really catered for a lot in this as well. You can really collaborate.
Right, so in Little Big Planet, if you guys played Little Big Planet, one person, one level. So in Dreams, you don't have to make levels. You could just be the person who makes music, or you could make like bow ties, or you could make fingernails, whatever it is you want to make.
Eyeball person.
I
could model an eyeball.
There you go. And then on a single dream, you can also have collaborators. So I could say like, okay, I'm going to let Tim, Mark, and Siobhan into my level, and everyone else gets to play it, but you guys actually get to edit it and work together and like jam together, basically. So it's all about collaboration as well. So we do that internally to build our story. So the story that you play is exactly that. You have everyone in the studios marked as a collaborator on all of our levels. But you could have teams. You could have like clans or teams or whatever you have out there in the gaming communities, and you could be working together on your magnum opus together. So
that's fun.
And we actually, when you are using Dreams, we have like experience points that you amass, and we track the kinds of things that you do. So you kind of can accrue these personas. You might be known as an artist or an animator based on the things that you've been doing. So if you do
or a player,
obviously.
Great term.
And the point is, if you feel like you want to collaborate on some new idea, you can actually search for the people that have experienced in making music or animating or things like that.
So if you're making a super hard game, you would then search for like the best players in the community and invite them to come and play test your level. So that this idea of a persona is super cool, because you can be like, or you can reach out to the best curators of a particular genre, and you're like, okay, Tim, can you pimp my level? Put it in your map of like best point-and-click adventures, whatever it is you want to.
I mean, it sounds crazy. It sounds like you could actually end up with people starting game companies out of the Dreams community, like bringing people with those different.
Well, with Little Big Planet, I mean, a lot of our team are actually ex-LBP community members, and so
really?
Debug and Francis are both characters made by Steve Big Guns, who was an LBP community member, and he's now part of the team making like super cool characters.
Watch, like 5 years from now, we'll be at PSX, someone will be up here and they're like, how'd your company get started? It's like, well, we were playing Dreams.
That's something that's quite central to, certainly for me anyway, that's really close to my heart, is enabling that kind of thing for people that maybe don't know the right people or whatever, how to get into this this wonderful world that we're all lucky to be working in.
Or they might not know they like it, or they might not know they're good at it, and then just try this when they're playing the game.
Right.
So that was such a good point about the boundaries between playing and creating that seem like they're there, because often a game you have to switch from play this level to make this level, and you get used to thinking there's a difference between creating and playing. But then when you have a child, it's so much more natural with kids to just be like, playtime is creative time, and it's just a flow that goes back and forth. And when you're even playing like a make-believe, you're creating stories.
Right. We have this like saying internally, which is that the animation, which you're actually seeing a little bit of behind us right now, we capture performances. So the idea is that you don't have to do keyframes and complicated curves. I mean, actually you can do that if you're really deep, but the way into animation is that you just hit record and then just use move stuff. So right now, let's just talk through what's going on the screen behind us. He's placing down, or she's placing down, some action recorders and just moving this stuff.
So that little golden glow is like a track of them moving, puppeting the...
Right, exactly.
That's
that.
just showing you the path that you've literally just moved.
Right, and so another thing is that a lot of these mechanics you learn by playing the game. Like you were saying, Tim, it's like play and create are actually really merged together. So another fun thing you can do is you can actually have that record button down while you possess a character. So you can actually record like little movies or little stories with your voice, with a microphone, with a headset, and you can just perform using the DualShock the same way you would in a game, but it's recording you. So you can do little stories. It's like Henson. We call it like Henson, not Pixar. It's like when kids pick up the sock puppet and they're like, and then that's really cool. Like in 30 seconds, you've made a story and makes
you can play like your own cutscene, one actor at a time, and record them all.
And go back, rewind, and then play the next character, and play the next character, and play the next character, and build it up. Yeah.
I saw that a little bit in the single-player trailer. You could see. I was like, how are they moving that character? Because it had a kind of a puppeted look. Some of them had a puppeted look that looked like they're...
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, that key word, performance, that was one of our sort of basic philosophy behind the Create tools. Wherever possible, we want to better capture a performance so that people can actually get that kind of human expression into things.
The gyros are great for that as well. It's like the cheapest, most effective motion capture in the world. And Steve Big Guns, who's the community member that we mentioned that we hired, he's a super expert at building like new powers. So if you look at Frances, she has this like hammer move and like these special moves where she does like spin jumps and stuff. And if you place her in your level, you get all of those powers, but there's nothing about her which is hard-coded into the engine. Like Steve built her out of around, I think it's 4,000 or 5,000 individual logic gadget elements inside the game. So there's nothing about Frances which is preordained. Like you guys and girls can do different characters, different powers. It's very hard to explain until people get their hands on it. They're like, wow, and you can open Frances up and find out how he did that animation of that spin jump and how he connected it to the particular button press, double jumps. You can change the timings. So there's this like deep side to it. And then there's this playful side of just like, I want a character that is 500 foot tall and that just can stomp through my level. You can do that.
The cool thing is you can start at either end of that. And I like that, like, sometimes with Dreams, you'll pick it up and be doing the thing of like playing with a kid and like, oh, what should we do? And then the serendipity of that is like, oh, actually, that's a really cool, I've made a great scene. I now want to turn that into a story that I'm going to publish. Like, I remember in the early days, the discussion would be like trying to find like happy accidents.
Right.
And that like in music jamming, it's much more normal to make mistakes and those mistakes to end up becoming what the whole thing is about.
Yeah, excellent.
And in game jams, that's not always, because everyone's always in different places and using different machines. You don't have that same, different programs. And with Dreams, what I love is like the idea of jamming together has a whole, it's a different thing because you're all in the same tool.
You can see each other's mistakes.
You can see,
Yeah, absolutely.
and the build off them.
And laugh at each other.
A lot of them are really funny, and it's like, you know, it's great to laugh, and it's great to laugh in games, and I love that so much within Dreams. The stuff
silly.
that people are making at home is just really funny, and it's a cool.
I mean, the juxtapositions as well. Like, there was one person, I remember this is a couple of years ago now, and he was making a little pastoral scene, and he needed a path, like he needed a nice little gravel path, winding path. He just got a massive pink flying V electric guitar and scaled it up and turned the fretboard into the like path, and those like stupid sort of mashups, if you like, what is the lifeblood of it, and you don't see that in other tools. So, for example, in Little Big Planet, even. Everyone gets the same gnome, everyone gets the same matchbox, everyone gets the same spoon. It's one of my favorite assets in LVP. But like, those were made by us for you, which is cool, but it's a limited Lego set. Like, LVP is this awesome Lego set, but the pieces were like pre-fabricated by Media Molecule. In Dreams, the set of Lego pieces is completely unending, because you can go in and sculpt something from scratch and then publish it and be like, okay, I have just created a completely new octopus. You know, I'm into Blue Planet right now. I love that show. And I have a feeling that if this game was out right now, there would be cuttlefishes and coral and all sorts of crazy stuff. Because everyone who was watching that show would get inspired, and then you could benefit from that. Or like if your, you know, Gang Beasts comes out on PS4.
Gang Beasts coming on PS4.
You see, get £10. Thank you very much. So people will get inspired by what they're seeing around them in the culture. Like, not to get too like highbrow about it, but like if they see something that inspires them in the broader like universe, they can like channel that into dreams and then do this like dreamy, fluffy reinterpretation of like, yeah, I just want cuttlefish everywhere in my dream. That's basically my goal. Like, make octopuses for me, please.
I made an octopus.
Did you?
I saw it.
For my octopus.
I haven't.
I'm so
Fine
proud of my
octopus.
octopus.
There we go.
I don't know if you would really like it, but
Do you, when you put the game in front of people, did you ever see, like some people like me, I get very intimidated by like the blank piece of paper when I'm writing, and I just don't, like if you could draw anything, what do you draw? It's so like, did you see people having that trouble, and how did you get around that?
So we have some tutorials, and the way the tutorials work is they're essentially these kind of half-finished dreams that you can go in and finish, and that's a really nice way to start creating as well. When you go into create mode, you can start with a blank canvas, but you can just browse and remix other people's things. So like a starting template, if you like. So that's a really nice way to kind of get.
I've got actually a funny story. So we've been doing, you mentioned testing, so we've been user testing, as we call it, i.e. getting people off the street to come and play dreams. And they play these ready-to-be-finished dreams. And the first one is an aquarium. You get this like pre-made aquarium, and the only thing you have to do is put some fish in it. That's the only, that's your goal, right? It's really funny. You play it. It's not like a tutorial with a kind of whip. You know, it's like actually quite fun. Like just make some fish.
make something
okay.
beautiful.
So here's the thing. We ran 2 user tests, and the first set was people who played Little Big Planet. They played Minecraft. They were into building games. They played our genre before. Those guys, they all finished it, and it was cool. And we were very excited. And then we did another test that was people who didn't have any interest in playing. They didn't identify as builder people. They were just gamers. They were like, I don't care about creativity. I'm not interested. But I'm going to make this aquarium because I'm here. And they did a way better job than, I have no science to understand why this is, but like I'm really interested by people who don't think of themselves as creators, what they do, the aquariums they make. And
what did they make? Now I want to know.
Well, there's one guy.
They were just wild. Like they went.
My favorite was the over the shoulder. It's kind of like I don't know, like a
first person.
Yeah, it was third person. It was like over the shoulder fish cam, and he had like the camera following the fish around the aquarium, and everyone else just did this like simple thing that they were told to do, but that guy just went really deep, and it was sort of like, I don't know, like Gears of War almost. There's like embedded camera kind of, it's a fish.
There's another thing that we do as well. We have these weekly community challenges. So every week we'll just throw out a kind of theme and say, make something that's inspired by Tim Schafer's shoes, for example.
Oh gosh.
Don't look.
And just having that as a keyword, you can just go off and not be precious and just make your thing, submit it, and then the community can vote on who's the best thing this week. Yeah. We've been doing that internally at the moment, just with the team, and everyone gets involved, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, then that deals with the blank canvas really, really well because you don't have one. You've got like a theme to sort of work within, and I think it's been really interesting within the studio seeing people who are not making content every day. It's been a real icebreaker for them of just like, let me have something to start with. Did you want to talk a bit about?
Well, I was going to say in the background here, we've actually got the video playing, which is showing some of the like layers of the audio. So basically, if you want to, you can just search for music, and there'll be musicians in the community who make great tunes, great pieces of music, and you can just place them in your level. But then the next layer down is we get this whole like timeline system. So if you've ever used a package like GarageBand or Pro Tools or anything like that, that's what you get in Dreams, right there in the game. So here they are collaging pieces of pre-made instruments together. And the next sort of rung down the rabbit hole, if that's not enough for you, is that you can actually go in and perform. And again, Mark was talking about performance. We have these instruments, virtual instruments, which you can also make. So yeah, we can make the kalimba, we can make the rubber band, kind of, I don't know what instrument we can make. We'll have a library of a few hundred that you guys get. Theremin, definitely theremins.
Controller theremin.
Yeah, are you good at theremin?
I'm one of the top-ranked theremin players in the country. It's not well known.
Yeah. New York Phil.
I learn something new about you all the time, too.
There we go. Spoons. I can play the spoons.
I try and keep it.
Great.
So you get to go and do that. You can build instruments. We already have a library of instruments that we've made. We also have a second screen. So if you have a phone or an iPad or a laptop, you can import audio into that laptop. You can take samples, high-quality samples. You can use a podcasting mic. So if you're a podcaster, you have a good quality mic, you can just record yourself. Whether you're into VO,
talking to your phone, and
you're talking to the phone, and you push a button, and it sends it to the PS4. Or if you have a headset, you can do that directly on the PS4. If you have a camera, PSI camera, you can do that. So we have all these ways in, and as I say, like it's really hard to kind of convince people that we're not lying, that all of our story mode is made in the game, and that extends to the designers, the animators, the musicians. So, you know, when they are making the Foley...
All the music is made
in the game. So the Foley of, like, you know, when I was talking about Ed having to make crunch sounds, he really had to make crunch sounds. He put them in the game, and then every sound you can then manipulate. We have reeling off, I can't even remember what they are, but there's like 5-band EQ, compression, distortion, wave shaping, modular synth, LFOs, envelopes, say these words, go Google them. And you don't need to do any of that. That's the beauty of it. You can ignore all of that stuff and just go, oh, it sounds nice. Or you can be the person who wants to learn about music production, and then it's like, I'm going to go and, you know, change the Q on this EQ band, and you can actually do that.
Or I think one of the stories that I like about that would be, you don't know what you like, you start messing around, you go through the layers of the onion a bit, you get lost, your sort of curator points come up and say to you, you're an audio artist.
Yeah.
And like you get this sort of recognition.
Endorphin
like,
rush. You're like,
right, yeah, no, that's what I've been doing. I've loved doing that. And
so your name, like you get credit for your thing if it's shared somewhere else, and can people then just pass that from level to level, and it can get pulled out of some level and
we sort of track the genealogy. So if somebody makes a level by collaging other people's objects, for example, your name, if you made a particular object, your name stays attached to that, even if it gets remixed 1,000 times.
Right, so we track credit.
Trace back the kind of history.
You can, in some mode, see that person and just go to their...
Right, exactly. So you might make a balloon. Like, you're just messing around with your kid, and you're like, I'm going to make a party balloon. Like, take me 2 seconds to sculpt it. And then it gets used in some massive level by some super famous creator. And you get that kind of... Some of the kudos of that famous level comes to you because you made that balloon, and that's part of, you know, you're part of the success of that level. So we really want to promote a community that work together, jam together, remix together, which is part of games culture now. Like the whole idea of global game jams, the whole idea of people working together is what Dreams is about. And Twitch streamers as well. Like it's fun to watch. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Create in the background, but it's kind of relaxing. It's like Bob Ross kind of thing. You can just enjoy
a lot of happy accidents.
There we go. It is all about that. Happy little trees. And yeah,
happy little space doors. Cyber doors. But has anyone ever made anything in Dreams that you didn't realize they could make?
Yeah, and one of my favorites is the
QA.
Oh man, QA. We have amazing QA team, and they do bizarre stuff. So one guy was testing the audio. You can tell I'm obsessed by audio. He said he'd made a synth, and I was like, "There's already a synth in the game. What are you talking about?" He actually modelled out of wood a beautiful old 70s synthesizer with knobs and dials, and I was like, "That's very nice, pretty sculpting you've done there." And then I realized it actually worked, and with the imp, you could like push the keys, or you could roll a rock over the keys of these 70s thing, and it was a really good like Moog synthesizer with all of the like knobs worked, so you could like resonance and stuff. And I was like, his interpretation of music wasn't as geeky as mine. His was like, I want a physical thing that I can play, and then he made a saxophone. It looked like a saxophone, and you could play it. And I was like, this is bizarre. And then one of our web designers recently did this really hard as nails space docking thing. I don't know whether it's like, I can't describe it, Kerbal Space Program meets Tarkovsky crazy Russian. Anyway, you have to dock a little space module into a spaceship. And this guy's a web developer. He's like never done graphics or art or game design officially anyway. And he did the sound design. It's really terrifying. And then the sun rises over the planet. And you're just like, I had no idea that you could do a space game that was this beautiful.
Did she just kill the eyeball?
She took the eyeball out, Ed.
That wasn't the eyeball, was it? I couldn't really care about that eyeball
They're the
already.
meanies.
I think one of the key point is if you really want to delve deep into it, it's a massively powerful, flexible content creation tool that can compete with lots of other content creation tools out there. But the way into it is playing very simple.
This is what I'm going to do when the game comes out, and I'm really hoping that you guys will have a similar experience. You boot Dreams up, and then you just play Dream Surf, Auto Surf across the mad stuff that will have got made. And it will be like sort of infinite David Lynch sort of, I hope, sort of surreal experience after surreal experience. And you don't know what you're going to get. There'll be some great games in there, and there'll be some crazy stuff. There'll be some like take it or leave it, but it doesn't matter because Dreams is all about that mashup, that craziness.
I'm getting that impression. Yeah. Infinite David Lynch would have been a good
There we go.
For that. Obviously
Tagline.
problems with that, but
Yeah.
well, we're getting to near the end. You can ask some final questions. I would like to know what kind of impact do you hope Dreams has on individuals, or maybe the games industry, or just the world in general?
Well, I certainly hope it's the start of many people's careers, really. If they've ever dreamed of kind of making films or making games, this is perfect.
Telling stories.
All they need is an idea and a PlayStation 4, and they can start sketching out their ideas. You know, and certainly with Little Big Planet, like Siobhan was saying, we ended up hiring lots of people from the community.
And there were marriage proposals. We played a marriage proposal level with you once in Little Big Planet.
Wait, did we get married?
Oh,
what happened?
Tim, I'm sorry to say.
Someone proposed to
changed.
someone for real in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And then education as well. Like I mentioned, Twitch streaming. And Kareem, who's our art director, is so excited to teach people about composition, architecture. There's a whole other side of this, which is like really a wonderful way to kind of educate people about art, storytelling, game design.
I think that was the thing we discovered with LBP was there was a point where it was like we found out physics teachers were using it to teach physics to kids. And one of the things that was great was that they were learning physics, but they were also learning composition and all of these different things, game design. Yeah. But I feel like one of the things that I'm really excited about is the longer the games industry is around, the more the the genres become sort of almost less defined. And I feel like the fact that the tool allows you to move between sound and animation and logic and art will mean that people will just create brand new things. Yeah. The limit of like what is digital interactivity is like we're really going to give people an ability to just redefine what that is.
I can see Shu sitting in the audience over there, which reminds me about the virtual reality aspect.
Yeah.
So we're going to support virtual reality, not from day one, but hopefully day 2.
Oh yeah.
And I think the idea of giving these tools to the PlayStation community so they can make virtual reality games is really exciting, because you're just going to have a real exploration of
if any of you out there have tried VR and you have that moment of, I think they call it presence, when you're in the space, imagine if the feeling where you also made that space. So it's one thing to be like, wow, I'm in this amazing place that someone else made for me and it's super cool, but it's a whole other level if you can be standing there and I'm like, this alleyway in a street scene, whatever, I built it. And I built it in VR perhaps, you know, I assembled those neon lights and I put in the little bar and then I let the little radio playing in the corner, and there's something really amazing about standing somewhere and feeling like you've just made the world around you. It's like...
It's that aspect though of, you know, you're going to have a whole community of people exploring what is possible with this device, which is we've only just really delving into.
We basically don't know anything. So when the game comes out, I hope you will show us what's possible, because I actually don't know what people will do with it, which is kind of...
That's pretty exciting.
It is very exciting.
That's pretty awesome. Is there any nuts and bolts information people need to know about the game, now that we've talked about all the philosophical elements of it?
It's coming out next year, which for us is... awesome. And then we'll be doing a beta before it launches, but we haven't quite got announcement dates yet.
Some people have asked on Twitter if you need Move controllers or if you need VR. Those things are supported, but you do not need them. You can do 100% of Dreams just with a PlayStation 4 and a DualShock. You don't need any additional hardware, but we do support those things. So if you want to do the like deluxe super edition, get yourself 2 moves. VR won't be day 1, but day 2, get yourself a PSVR, and we'll support those things. But it's for you guys. All you need is a PS4. And
that's great.
It's cool.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, thanks for being here, you guys, and thanks for coming, everybody. Let's have one more big hand for Alex, Siobhan, and Mark. All right. Thank you.
PlayStation